Welcome back to the PhotoCEO Podcast, where hosts Megan Mondrell and Frederica Gullickson teach you how to build your photo business by listening to your intuition, taking empowered action, and embodying the PhotoCEO mindset.
Welcome back to the PhotoCEO Podcast. My name is Frederica Gullickson, and I'm here with my business partner, Megan. And we're going to be talking about external validation today and why vanity metrics on social media are holding you back.
AKA, why the heck followers don't freaking matter.
Yeah, exactly. Surprise, your follower count doesn't actually matter in terms of building your business.
Yeah.
So why don't we get started? I want to talk specifically about Instagram today. And you'll hear Megan and I talk about our different strategies that we use on Instagram to really build our businesses. And they might surprise you a little bit, but there is a consistency that runs throughout both of our strategies, which is prioritizing engagement over everything else. So Megan, do you want to talk about what your strategy is in terms of, or you know what, let's start with, what are your thoughts around photographers who, have a ton of followers on Instagram?
Yeah. I think that it's great to, have a decent amount of followers. I think that it can create a little bit of an authority right off the bat, but it's not necessary. And something that I found with photographers who do have a lot of followers is that they like to prioritize having fans over friends. And that works to an extent with getting clients, the people who fangirl over what you produce and the fact that you're like a celebrity. But personally, I would much rather have close relationships with all of my clients and try to have a relationship with most of my followers, or at least the very engaged followers, rather than kind of sit on a chair and look down at them and not respond to comments and that kind of thing. I don't want anyone to ever be like, oh my gosh, she responded to my comment. Like, of course I'm going to respond to your comment. That's just, it's a given. So
Yeah.
what would you say your ideas are when you first think of businesses or photographers that have thousands and thousands of followers?
So I think that this is going to be so relatable for so many of us out there, so many photographers, and even, artists and people on Instagram in general. But I tend to, when I see other photographers who have like thousands or tens of thousands of followers, I actually do feel a little bit intimidated by that number when I start going into comparison on like what my numbers are, even though I have the knowledge that, that those numbers don't actually matter and that they don't actually necessarily translate into sales and profitability. So one of the things that I have learned over the years is that engagement is way more important to my business than the number of followers that I have. So one of my strategies, actually, like when you go to my Instagram account, I right now have 488 followers. And that is like, that could be construed as like nothing compared to so many people. Like there's so many photographers out there who have thousands and thousands of followers, but I have like triple and even more than that on my percentage of engagement. So for example, on my most recent post, and to give some context, the average Instagram engagement rate is 3.5%. So my engagement rate on my last post that I made was around 10.2%. So that's more than like triple, almost more than, or it's around triple the amount of engagement that other people are getting. And some of my posts, like quite a few of them actually have gone up to 15 and 18 and 19% engagement. So let's like take a step back for a second, because if you don't know what engagement really means, you might be wondering what the heck we're talking about right now. So engagement is just the number of likes, comments, shares, and saves that you have on a post divided by the number of followers that you have times 100. So that's how you get your engagement percentage. And so what I do with my followers to like really keep my engagement rate high is I go through every single day, every single time somebody adds me on Instagram, I go to their account, I check them out. And if they look like they're a bot or just like some random account that I don't want following me, I delete them. And that's how my number has stayed like below 1,000. If I had just let everybody like accumulate on my account, it would be well over 1,000 followers at this point. Um, but I would have lower engagement and people wouldn't really be seeing my content.
Yeah.
And that's why that's so important. So the reason that the engagement percentage matters is because that's how non-followers start to see your account. And that's how you really start to build and curate a community of people who are rooting for you and buying from you on your Instagram versus just having, 5,000 passive followers and a low engagement percentage and nobody buying from you.
So, in layman's terms, it doesn't matter if you have a bunch of followers. What matters is having those followers who are engaged in your account, liking, commenting, and therefore potentially buying from you. It literally means nothing if you have followers who are just sitting there and never see your work and don't care to see your work. And it actually is a detriment to your account if people are following you but not liking, doesn't care about your account, and so on.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Um, and the other part of this engagement isn't just other people who are, interacting on your post. It's about, are you interacting back with them? Because unless you unless you are, a multimillionaire and you have an extremely successful photo business, there is no reason that you shouldn't be talking back to the people who are taking the time to respond to the thing that you put out. So, and it doesn't just mean hitting like on their comments. It's actually engaging with them. Leave a comment back, say thank you, or ask them a question, reach them in their DMs, and really learn to connect. Like that's how you build um, that friend base, that community feel, and the people that are going to support you in your business. And then you're going to be their first thought when they do need photos done.
Exactly. And I think that, even if you are a millionaire and have a ton of followers and a ton of engagement happening, I would even beg to say that you should hire someone to still be doing
Yes,
that for your business, because it
100%.
really is so important. And beyond just replying to things that are put on your posts, I also think that you should be going out and engaging with specifically your followers. And doing that before and after you do make a post, make sure that Instagram knows that you're there and you're alive and you're a real human and you want to engage, and therefore the um, app will kind of favor your post as far as people, like, showing it to people to engage on it as well.
Yes, exactly. And you and I just had a discussion about that. When was it? Yesterday. I was telling you that so my strategy, part of it is that when I post, I stay on Instagram for another 10 minutes or so and just go and interact on other people's posts and let them know that I'm there and let the app know that I'm still in the app using it. And that translated to a ton of new likes and comments from people who already follow me, but who I haven't seen pop up in my engagement in a little while. So
Mm-hmm.
just taking like that extra 10 minutes when you're on Instagram anyway to just go and send some interactions to other people's pages is really important, and not just liking a bunch of stuff, but actually leaving comments as well and boosting their own engagement.
Exactly. And I think that one thing that people really focus on too much when they're looking for business advice in general is they want this one fix, this one like magic pill that's going to make it all fall into place and make it easy for them. And in reality, with anything in life, I would, argue, it's you get in what you get out what you put in.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really only going to get the amount of engagement that you are willing to put into other people, and to a degree that changes over time, but really, as far as where you're going to start out, it does have to do with how much are you willing to engage on other posts and with other people, and that will then come back to you in your own engagement.
Exactly.
Now, I think that one other big thing with social media that a lot of people run into is that they get so hung up on followers and likes that they tend to cower away from it because of the mental health struggles that it can impose. So I mean, I do understand that it is a difficult thing for sure. And I think that the number one thing to changing that is just changing your mindset around it, and that it's a space for communication, not a space for people to like fawn over your work. And in turning away, I think that you're definitely in turning away, I think that you're making it harder on yourself, honestly, just because, again, the effort that you put in is what you get out. And I think that it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy if you turn away because people aren't following you, because they aren't engaging, and it will just, keep snowballing that way.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know social media and mental health. Wow,
Big
there
topic.
is a ton to unpack there. And that's kind of what I meant, like going back a little bit when I was saying that I was feeling a bit intimidated when I see like other people who have, large amount of followers on their account. Even though I have the knowledge around how little that actually matters, it still affects me. And so I constantly have to like keep in check what what my thoughts are around stuff like that. And if anyone else is out there struggling, I could share a little bit about what I do in that case. So anytime I'm like having thoughts about comparing myself to other people or like feeling bad about myself, I just do a simple pattern interrupt. And that means that when I'm in those thoughts, I say the word stop in my mind. So I'll say, stop, Ricky. And then I kind of think of my thought as like a slideshow, and I just like have this image of my hand swiping away the thought, like move on to the next one, right? And then each time the next negative one comes up, if it does, you swipe it
Yeah.
away, and say, like, just go in and remind yourself, this number doesn't actually matter. What matters is what I'm doing on my account, and I'm engaging and communicating with my community.
And I think that that's a super awesome tip. I think that just taking control of that, I guess, script in your life is really important. One other thing that I find helps too is, instead of thinking of it like as some sort of competition, think of it as tension, and that you want to grow to that level. So there are two things that you can either do. You can completely release the tension and never look at their account again. It's an option, just don't fall to the temptation of looking at that account that is going to bug you. And the other option would be to make friends with that person, because I think that takes some of the intimidation out of it when you, instead of looking at them as competition, look at them as someone that you could potentially learn something from.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore you can like gain knowledge and lean into that tension and grow from that person.
For sure. Like, release the tension or lean into it and find inspiration in their account
Yeah,
or what they're doing, right?
exactly. And the other thing to remember too is that other photographer is dealing with the exact same thought patterns probably that you're going through. And by putting them on a pedestal, it's really not doing you any good. And just by humanizing that other person and realizing that they also go through similar struggles, I think can also help a lot too.
Yeah, definitely. That reminds me of this other like thought that I keep in my mind quite a bit when I'm in comparison is I used to be in negative comparison a lot. And so recently I switched into positive comparison. And so my thought is rather than, oh, they have all of these followers, I'll never get there, or they look like they are so busy, I'll never get there. It's about looking at it with a new perspective and switching that. You literally flip it on its head, flip that perspective, and think, if it's possible for them, it's possible for me. And they were where I was, they are where I am. They were where I am, if I can get that out. They were where I am, and they grew from this point too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Um, so one of the other things that I really like to focus on in terms of like the community piece is, and like letting go of that comparison and the vanity metrics and the things that really don't make us feel good, is to stop asking how good I am and start asking what the world needs or what your community needs from you, and literally just focus on giving that to them versus thinking about how it's going to impact you, think about how what you're doing is impacting them.
Exactly. How can you serve the audience that you do have, and how can you help them with some sort of problem that they're going through, instead
For
of thinking
sure.
about all the problems and all of the hardships that you're going through.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite things to do. And it's the thing that I get a lot of engagement on is like, for example, a lot of people are very intimidated to be in front of the camera. And they're not feeling like super comfortable usually right off of the get-go. So one of the things that I do on my account and on my website a lot is talk about, I know how you're feeling because I've gone through this as well. And here's what I can tell you about how to get comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Or here's what you can do with your hands, because I know you don't know what to do with your hands in front of the camera. Like, create content around how you can help those people dig into their like deepest fears around being in front of the camera, and really lead them into your process, and because they will start to trust that you will be able to guide them through those insecurities.
Yeah. Two things that came to mind is, first of all, like, what you focus on grows. So if you're going to focus on your lack, then your lack will grow. But if you focus on abundance and serving others, then that will therefore grow. And the other thing is the golden rule: do unto others as you want others to do unto you. So why would you, you know, to stroke your own ego, sit on this high seat of not interacting with others and feeling like everyone should interact with you, yet you aren't going to interact with anyone else, when really that's just all that's going to happen to you. You reap what you sow.
Exactly. And I kind of think that we should just kind of end it there. The whole idea behind this episode is go deep, not wide,
Yeah,
with your followers. And you will be able to grow on Instagram and build a successful business there just by doing that alone and paying attention to how you're engaging with your community and providing what they need versus what you think that you need to show to be popular.
exactly. Word of mouth. Word of mouth. That comes from someone who had an amazing experience from you, whether that's on Instagram or in person, is way more meaningful than seeing at the bottom, that one of their friends also follows you. It's way more meaningful.
Exactly. Yeah. That is like the quickest way to grow your business is through word of mouth, and Instagram is a great tool for that. So, this wraps up this episode. Thanks everyone, and have a great week. Thanks for listening to the PhotoCEO Podcast with your hosts, Frederica and Megan. We hope you enjoyed your deep dive into these tips and tricks on how to transform from photographer to PhotoCEO. If you liked this episode and want to learn more, we are hosting a free PhotoCEO Masterclass on May 3rd, 2021. We will be giving you tons of powerful and heart-centered content that will help you book more clients, get your time back, and claim the freedom that you've been seeking in your photo business. If you want to kickstart your journey as a photo CEO, go to photobusinessdesign.com/masterclass to sign up. That's photobusinessdesign.com/masterclass. We look forward to seeing you there, and until next time, have a great week in your photo business.